24-year-old Alice Ruggles seemed to have it all: ambition, talent, and a bright future. But one relationship would change everything. When danger crept quietly into her life, the bright young woman who inspired everyone around her faced a threat she never saw coming. This is the story of Alice Ruggles, a life interrupted, and the chilling events that followed. Alice Ruggles was born and raised in the quiet village of Tur Langton near Market Harborough in Leicester. She grew up in a close-knit family that valued learning, kindness, and compassion. Her parents, Dr. Sue Hills and Professor Clive Ruggles, were both respected educators. Sue was head of mathematics at Leicester High School for Girls, while Clive pursued a long and accomplished career as a university professor. Alice was the middle child of 4 siblings, brothers Nick and Patrick and sister Emma, and shared a strong bond with them. From an early age, Alice was known for her bright, enthusiastic personality and ability to connect easily with people. She combined determination with empathy, making her well-liked among friends, teachers, and peers. At age 11, a school trip introduced her to fencing, a sport that quickly became her passion. She rose to become a county champion and a prominent figure in the East Midlands fencing community. Her achievements included 4th place in the Public Schools National Fencing Championship and victory at the Ledyds Open in 2012. Academically, Alice excelled and pursued a degree in product design at Northumbria University in Newcastle. There, she captained the university's ladies' fencing team, guiding it to major competitions. Her achievements reflected a young woman full of promise, admired for her talent, leadership, and optimism. After university, Alice remained in Newcastle and began working for Sky. Her professionalism, adaptability, and warmth earned her respect among colleagues. She had a rich social life, staying close to friends, organizing gatherings, and supporting those around her. She continued fencing, balancing her career, friendships, and passions with discipline and focus. Colleagues remembered her joy in everyday moments, whether sharing laughter over coffee breaks or offering encouragement. Life in Newcastle marked a period of stability, growth, and confidence, yet beneath this calm, her life was about to change in ways she could never have anticipated. Alice met Trimon Harry Dillon, a serving soldier in the British Army's 2 Scots Regiment, through a mutual acquaintance while he was stationed in Afghanistan. Their connection began online, built on friendly conversations and mutual curiosity. Dillon initially appeared charming, attentive, and confident. What started as an innocent online relationship quickly grew into a long-distance romance. Upon his return to the UK, they met in person and divided their time between Newcastle and Edinburgh. Early signs of control soon appeared. Dillon subtly criticized Alice, questioned her choices, and demanded constant contact. His messages and calls were incessant, framed as care. Over time, his behavior revealed patterns of manipulation aimed at limiting her independence. By April 2016, when he returned permanently from deployment, his possessiveness intensified. He showed up unannounced, monitored her activities, and isolated her from friends. What had started as a seemingly affectionate relationship became marked by emotional pressure and fear. Alice's vibrant personality dimmed under the strain of his control, and her confidence eroded. This period marked a crucial turning point, the foundation of coercive control that would later evolve into stalking. Dillon's need for dominance was no longer disguised as love, it had become obsession. As his behavior intensified, Alice's emotional well-being declined. Once full of energy and laughter, she withdrew from friends and family. The bright, confident woman who thrived in Newcastle became quieter, more hesitant, and visibly anxious. Those closest to her noticed the loss of her spark and the growing sense that she carried an invisible weight. In an effort to create distance and regain stability, Alice moved to a ground-floor flat in Gateshead, sharing the space with a colleague after difficulties with previous housemates. Yet the change of address did little to restore peace. The psychological strain of Dylan's control lingered, shaping her routines and undermining her confidence. During a family holiday, her parents observed how subdued she had become, the liveliness that once defined her replaced by exhaustion and unease. It was a visible transformation from independence to quiet apprehension. The breaking point came when Alice discovered Dylan's infidelity through contact with another woman he had met online. The revelation brought clarity and resolve. She ended the relationship, determined to reclaim autonomy. But Dylan's inability to accept rejection marked the beginning of something darker. His fixation tightened as he shifted from emotional control to calculated pursuit. This period stood at the fragile threshold between emotional abuse and physical danger, a time when Alice tried to move forward while Dylan refused to let go. After the breakup, Dylan's behavior escalated into relentless harassment. What began as emotional manipulation transformed into an obsessive campaign of control. He called, texted, and emailed Alice repeatedly, shifting between pleading apologies and aggressive accusations. His intrusion extended beyond Alice herself as he attempted to contact friends and family to deliver messages or gather information. Dylan accessed her social media accounts without permission and bypassed communication blocks using multiple phones and online profiles. In moments of desperation, he threatened self-harm, turning his well-being into a weapon of emotional blackmail. When Alice began seeing someone new, Dylan retaliated with lies and false claims, aiming to isolate her. His stalking became physical. He appeared outside her flat, rang her doorbell before vanishing, and entered her garden to leave gifts. Gestures meant to unsettle rather than endear. The harassment reached a chilling peak when he left a voicemail saying, "I don't want to kill you." What might have sounded ambiguous to others struck Alice with dread. This phase marked the full descent of Dylan's obsession, illustrating how emotional abuse can escalate into physical intrusion and overt threat. Terrified, Alice reached out to the police, recounting the harassment, persistent calls and messages, and the moments when Dylan appeared outside her flat or left items in her garden. Officers issued a police information notice, or PIN, essentially a formal warning to Dylan. While intended to acknowledge the situation's seriousness, the PIN carried no legal weight and offered Alice little protection. Despite her ongoing reports, authorities failed to link new incidents to earlier complaints. A critical call just a week after the PIN went unrecorded, leaving no official trace. For Alice, these gaps reinforced the sense that the system could not safeguard her. As Dylan's behavior persisted, Alice found herself increasingly isolated, forced to take her own precautions while knowing that formal channels were inconsistent and ineffective. Friends escorted her home, and she secured her flat meticulously, yet the legal system offered little beyond reassurance. The emotional weight of this period was profound. Alice had followed the steps victims are instructed to take, yet remained exposed to escalating danger. This section underscores the systemic failures that contributed to her vulnerability. The lack of effective legal tools, poor coordination between officers, and insufficient follow-up left Alice to confront an obsessive stalker with minimal support. Her experience illustrates the critical gap between reporting abuse and receiving actionable protection, highlighting how institutional shortcomings can intensify the risks faced by victims. 3 days after receiving the police information notice, Tremont Dillon sent Alice Ruggles a parcel. Inside was a letter that appeared to offer closure, filled with manipulative language, guilt, and personal items referencing their time together. Dillon claimed he would disappear from her life, framing the gesture as a farewell. Despite Alice's increasing fear and continued reports to the police, no additional protective measures were taken. The warnings previously issued offered little tangible safeguard against his escalating behavior. On October 10th, Dylan traveled secretly from Edinburgh to Gateshead to surveil Alice's flat. He took photographs from the rear of the property, demonstrating premeditation and intent. 2 nights later, he returned, waiting nearby for Alice to come home from work. After confirming she had arrived, Dylan broke into the flat through a window, carrying a kitchen knife. He confronted Alice in the bathroom, where he inflicted fatal injuries. The attack ended her life within moments. Alice's flatmate, Maxine, discovered the scene shortly afterward and immediately called the police. The prompt notification allowed law enforcement to respond quickly. Within hours, Dylan was apprehended at his barracks. Despite his denial of involvement, the evidence collected from the break-in, prior stalking behaviors, and the fatal confrontation confirmed premeditated violence. The events illustrate how weeks of harassment, coercive control, and institutional shortcomings culminated in a preventable tragedy. Alice's death underscores the dangerous escalation that can occur when stalking and threats are not met with timely and effective intervention. The sequence from parcel to fatal attack highlights both the obsessive determination of Dylan and the missed opportunities for protection that might have altered the outcome. Following his arrest, Tremont Dylan faced questioning over the murder of Alice Ruggles. He denied responsibility, claiming Alice had attacked him, a defense presented during the trial. However, the evidence collected, including witness testimony, surveillance, and the circumstances surrounding the break-in and fatal attack, directly contradicted his claims. The jury rejected his defense, concluding that Dylan had acted with premeditation and intent. Throughout the proceedings, the trial exposed the full extent of Dylan's coercive control, manipulative behaviors, and obsession. Testimonies highlighted how Alice's repeated attempts to seek help were met with limited or ineffective intervention. The case illustrated how early warning signs were repeatedly ignored, leaving Alice vulnerable to escalation. Experts and witnesses emphasized the progression from emotional manipulation to physical stalking, underscoring the risks when red flags are overlooked. The court found Dylan guilty of murder, sentencing him to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 22 years. The verdict reflected the severity of his actions and the premeditated nature of the crime. In the aftermath, Alice's family, while devastated, took steps to honor her memory and prevent similar tragedies. They established the Alice Ruggles Trust, focused on raising awareness about stalking, educating the public, and advocating for systemic reforms. Through this work, Alice's story became emblematic of the dangers of coercive relationships and unrecognized stalking. Her name is now associated with prevention, education, and the protection of others from similar fates. The trial, conviction, and subsequent advocacy serve as a sobering reminder of the consequences when warning signs are ignored and intervention fails. Alice Ruggles' death prompted the creation of the Alice Ruggles Trust, founded by her family to raise awareness of stalking and coercive control. The trust works directly with schools and communities, educating young people about the signs of manipulative or dangerous relationships. Its programs emphasize prevention, teaching students how to recognize early warning behaviors and how to seek help. Alice's experience highlights the broader societal risk posed by stalking when warning signs are ignored. Her story demonstrates how emotional manipulation can escalate into physical violence if left unaddressed. Through the trust, her family advocates for improved institutional responses and greater public understanding of coercive behavior. While her life ended tragically, Alice's legacy has become a force for change. Her story now guides education, prevention, and awareness efforts, ensuring that her experiences serve to protect others. By transforming personal loss into advocacy, the Alice Ruggles Trust continues to challenge complacency and safeguard potential victims of stalking.